Hello, friends. Good evening. So today's session is just a examination session where I will discuss about the syllabus, about environment and ecology, and we will also discuss about how to deal with this portion for prelims at least. So as far as environment and ecology is concerned, it has become a very important part in UPSC, and very critical also because ये decide कर लेता है merit because very dicey questions are asked and very sometimes very confusing and because the nature of this subject is it's very dynamic and certain portion of this is very technical also. So let's start at how we can first of all manage this subject. Remember, if you will have a good control, good command over environment and ecology, you will fetch an extra 20-25 marks because between geography and environment ecology there is always a fusion. So you will have 30 questions from geography plus environment and ecology. In certain questions you can differentiate that this is geography and this is environment ecology, but certain questions you will not be able to. So for combined, there will 30 questions will be asked for in prelims, and it's very important component. Now, when we talk about environment and ecology, I have seen people just mugging up the things, dumping the knowledge about environment and ecology, and feeling that कि अब तो हमें आता है environment and ecology. They're going through the books from the market, which are just at dump houses. So first of all, understand one thing. There are 3-4 portions in environment and ecology. First portion is called, which I have divided, which most of the textbooks decide. One is the pure ecology and environment. That is, which is the core subject. Like in which first chapter, in this chapter, you will have what is an ecosystem, what's an biome, what is food web, what is food chain, and how things. What is the ecosystem, or what are different type of ecosystems, and sometimes it's very confusing. Why? Because we don't clear our basics. So I will tell to every student who is watching this video, for this portion, which we call as core ecology, go for the textbooks. There are many textbooks available in the market. You can access them, particularly the board, which is ICSE board, maybe 9th, 12th, or 11th, 12th, which will cover most of the portion. Go and read line by line textbooks. Understand the basic concepts. Understand the terms like population, community, species diversity. Then you have ecological succession, primary succession, secondary succession. Then you have many other terms like ecotone, like edge effect. There are so many ecological equivalents, ECADs. So these are the points where students feel that it's very difficult. But my suggestion is, if you will go for the textbook reading, line by line reading, you will have no problem, and you don't need to consult any other thing. Just read it line by line and understand, and also take the examples which they have given to teach you how a term is defined. For example, if we define a concept called ecotone, unless and until you will not have an example with you, you will not understand it. And it becomes very abstract thing to understand what is the transition zone between two ecosystems called ecotone, where there is more species diversity, and why there is more species diversity. So there are many things you have to look. There are many things which you have to look in this. Is video not working? Some people are complaining about the video is not working. Is it so? Can somebody confirm me? So that's why this environment ecology, the textbook reading becomes very important. So the next chapter, the first chapter is environment, that the ecology part, the core part. Read it from textbooks. That's very important. Second chapter, which we have divided in environment and ecology, is simply the biodiversity and wildlife, about the different biodiversity, about alpha, beta, gamma, and species, wildlife. What are the different IUCN classification, and how what are our conservation projects like Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Project Crocodile, Project Rhino, so many conservation. And the most important part of this chapter will be Wildlife Protection Act 1972, where we have protected areas like national parks, like wildlife sanctuaries, like biosphere reserves, sorry, like conservation reserves and community reserves. These are the most important part of protected areas mentioned by the Wildlife Protection Act. Then we have another kind of classification called biosphere reserves, which find their part in which find the part uh, in MAB program UNESCO. So things. Isn't the working? Isn't the video working? Is only Umakant Sahu is complaining about that it's not working. But I think from my side, I'm not finding any issue. I think yes. So this is the second chapter. And third chapter, when we talk of environment, that will be the environmental degradation. How the environment has been degraded. We will talk of air pollution, we will talk of water pollution, we will talk of hazards, waste, we will talk of solid waste management, and we will talk of different things, how environment is polluted, and what are the laws associated with it. How we have brought about different laws, policies to counter that environmental pollution. We'll also talk about different issues like ozone hole, like many other things which will be part of our the environmental degradation, how it is. And lastly, when we will talk of laws, maybe separately we'll talk of laws, and finally climate change. That will be a separate portion. That's how we deal with the environment. So these are the five important chapters. First is ecology, the core ecology, and second is what we call as biodiversity and wildlife. The third is the environmental degradation and pollution. Fourth part is laws which are associated with it, and other associated what we have done, government and international organizations. And last, we will go for the climate change, how things are shaping up, what are different uh, treaties and other conventions we have done in terms of countering the climate change. Now, when we talk of test, which you will follow up soon after this video, maybe on I don't know whether what is the date for it. I think 26. So we will first cover the second part. I don't want to go directly to the ecology and environment. I will give more time to read that. So we will go for the second chapter that is called as biodiversity and wildlife. So in this chapter, the questions are framed mostly on wildlife Protection Act, as I already told you, 1972, the protected areas, what are the legal status, what are the different things associated with it, what the law says. We will also talk about the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves. We will talk of most important thing, the amendment of Wildlife Protection Act 2006. That is how NTCA, how National Tiger Conservation Authority was formed, and aftermath of Sariska incidents, when we found that in Sariska there are no tigers left, then government was forced to amend Wildlife Protection Act based on a task force report, and through which the tiger reserves were given a legal status. Now, if we see tiger reserves, they have a legal status of national park and more protection. And there's a strategy for how we manage these parks, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and these protected areas. So read about these things. I will also ask questions about the tiger reserves which are in the news, which are very important tiger reserves, national parks, different states. We will also talk of elephant reserves. We will talk of Project Snow Leopard, different projects which government of India has done. Asiatic lion, tiger project. We'll talk of elephant project. We'll talk of crocodile conservation project, snow leopard, rhino mission. So these are things you have to go for. You have to understand. We will also in this test you will have National Biodiversity Act also. How the Convention on Biodiversity, read fully Convention on Biodiversity was signed, and what are the protocols associated with it, particularly that most two important protocols, Cartagena Protocol and Nagoya Protocol. And we will also talk about the IUCN classification, read it thoroughly, understand one thing that it's clearly UPSC is after this who critically endangered, uh, and the classification of IUCN, read that well, and search for that. What are the different? I have also given the explanation of the questions. You can also go through after the examination, but right now you should go for some IUCN networking and see the animals which are in the critically endangered in India, particularly from this perspective, and see you some maybe in the news. That whatever is in the news, that's the bait for you. That will be a food for you to ponder on, that the UPSC can ask questions from the same. Then I have also framed certain questions from the wetlands, read about Ramsar Commission, Ramsar Treaty, and read about the Montreux Record. What are the differences, how the Ramsar Treaty was formed, and network of wetlands, what are the Montreux Record, what are the sites in the Montreux Record, and also about wetland as an ecosystem, how it functions. And I have also included forests in it. So understand what is a forest, legal definition of forest, also about how Forest Survey of India, which is located in Dehradun, how it defines forest, and see how we measure the forest area. Okay, how we classify it, one is the geographical classification based on the rainfall and based on the temperature. When we talk of tropical forests, deciduous forests, and swamp forests, many other forests, you will see the geography. Whereas in forest, we talk about dense forest, moderately dense forest, dense sparse forest, how they are classified. See why, what is the classification basis FSI do. So I have asked certain questions on that. So these things I will cover in next test. And now, I also include certain questions on science and technology. The traditional course of science and technology, like satellites, like INSAT series, satellites, geostationary satellites, and some questions from the robotics, which I feel that you should know. And there are many questions which are indicative. I have given them deliberately so that you understand that this concept is very important and I need to address this thing. Questions are not framed in a way that UPSC asks them, okay, or some in an exam they will come directly will come. We tend to make questions which are very important areas. So these are the things which I will cover in the first area, in this first test. So the later tests we will discuss later on. So now my suggestion to you will be that how to solve, how to tackle this prelims. The most important thing about prelims is that you have to identify the narrow points, those points which normally a student misses from the textbook. You have to read the textbooks line by line, and that's very important. If you not read it, you'll miss those points. And now, when you will when you apply, read from those texts, and then you will apply yourself on examination. In examination, solving some 55 odd questions. Remember, a question is a concept. Don't take it just like a question. Read it, solve it, and throw it away. Take it. There's a lot of mind which has been put in that question. Why that has been asked. Associated concepts with it. Read it thoroughly. When you solve a question paper, you should read the explanation. That's very important. Treat 55 questions as 55 concepts in this environment. That's how you can tackle environment writing. Uh, improve every time you do a test series. If you are not able to improve, that means you are not doing your tests properly. So read the question, answer it. Then at the end of the after you complete paper, read the explanations whether you have done the question right, whether you have not attempted it, whether it is wrong. Read explanation in all three cases because you never know the question which you have done right, whether it is through a hit and trial, तुक्का लग गया है कि या कुछ उसे और तरीके से. Understand yourself. Understand how you think. Understand how when you read question, what sort of thought process is coming to your mind, and why is the concept deficit. That is how you can improve on yourself. You and only you can improve on yourself. Nobody will help you. We can just tell you which is the areas. Like maybe there may be many area in environment. I can just tell you which is more important. Just work on them. That's very important. But you have to read. You have to believe on yourself. You have to trust on how you do the question, and you have to see what is the negative thing in you when you attempt a question, what is the negative things which come? क्या रीजन है, किस टॉपिक से क्वेश्चन गलत हो रहा है? You have to do एनालिसिस, किस टॉपिक से क्वेश्चन गलत हो रहे हैं और मुझे इंप्रूव करने की क्या जरूरत है. Now, the last portion I want to dwell upon the textbooks. Many people have been asking me that what should we read. Honestly speaking, I have been always prescribing people with the textbooks because they are the soul, they're the nervous system. And if you are doing your basics right through textbooks, first do your basics right. Read textbooks. For example, ICSE board textbooks you can read. Read them line by line. After you complete them, they make your base very strong. When your base is very strong, then you can read any damn thing. You can read after then the so-called people have been asking me that whether the Shankar environment is better or not. Definitely, that's a good book. That's a dump house, I called it. A lot of information, but that's not more important. Important in how you solve your basics. जब एक मकान बनता है, मकान बनने में खिड़कियां पहले नहीं बनती है, मंजिलें नहीं चढ़ती है, पहले बेस बनता है. Make your base very strong, and your base is ICSE textbooks or whatever a good textbook you have. Read it. Every textbook is a good book. Clear your concepts from it. Read it line by line 2 3 times. Then the whole world is open. You can read any question. For example, there are many textbooks in. I can just demonstrate you certain questions. Certain. This is one of the textbook I have read. This is textbook of environment studies by this UGC, University Grant Commission. There are many books in the market like this book. This is one of the book called Environment and Ecology, Raja Gopalan's. There is one more book which is a very good book. This is Environmental Ecology by. This is a textbook type book. This is by Tushar Ghurpade, Shahadri Publications. There are many books, many books, but I will prescribe you go for the textbook. Go to the market, tell the publisher that I want ICSE board textbook either 9th, 10th or 11th, 12th. Okay? Make sure that you see inside what are the syllabus or this all the syllabus covered or not. That's more important. So if you're a newcomer, I will suggest you go for the textbook first, 2 3 readings of textbook, and then follow it with the any book, any damn book. Then I'm not concerned. You can read any material because I know your basis will be strong there. You will understand that what is kachra in it and what is not. But I can appreciate this thing, but it will take time for you. But that's why you read textbook. Textbooks is very important. So my emphasis is only on textbooks. At this stage, later on, you can move to any other good standard textbooks. So this is all about my brief strategy about environment and ecology and certain textbooks and what are the syllabus in the next test. All the best and work hard and work sincerely as well as honestly and be focused in cracking this examination. It's not all about gaining more and more knowledge. It's about gaining knowledge which is required for this examination. All the best. Take care.